Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with Cory and Johnny Bananas, who placed second and third on season 2, the Challenge USA. Cory, this was, I believe, the third time you finished in second. You finished in third place a couple times. You've been so close to that victory, but it hasn't happened yet. So I'm going to ask you, actually, Johnny, what does this man need to do to win a challenge?
Oh man, where do we begin? Learning how to spell would probably help. Learning how to eat disgusting stuff. Not stabbing his allies in the back week 1. That might, really that might help as well. But these finals are weird, man. All right. And I'm sitting here in front of you too. This is my second final in a row where I've come up short. And it's all about it, and I'm not going to say that let me rephrase that. It's not all about luck, but there is always such a massive element of luck that is involved in not just making it to a final, not just making it to a season, but also winning a final. So you could have the best strategy in the world. You could be the most athletic. You could have the best endurance. But if luck doesn't fall on your side, or if luck falls against you, it could mean the difference between, making or breaking a final. I mean, my last loss in Ride or Dies, we messed up one puzzle piece that ended up costing us a final. And then, in this one, I mean, it all came down to basically the throwing an axe. If you could land an axe in a stump of wood, and if you were able to somehow figure out what 230 pounds of rocks weigh. Those two equalizers basically were the determining factor in the entire challenge. And I've said this before. It's like I can outrun a lot of things. I can't outrun my past, and I can't outrun an ATV. So, once that happened, It was kind of all bets were off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the scale was huge. That scale part of the final day of the final. I mean, if you don't get that scale,
you're
people
done.
are driving by you.
I heard it.
In all seriousness, Cory, how frustrating was this? Because on day 1, those skills challenges, you lost every single one of them. Like maybe you knew you didn't spell, but I think you thought you had a better chance at the other 3. What was going through your head that day? And I mean, the emotion came out. You were in tears at one point.
Yeah, man, it's just like you put so much work. I put a lot of work into the challenge and leaving the family and just like all the gym sessions beforehand. And then throughout the whole season, you want to go to the finals. You want to put your best day forward. And when you're just like losing after losing after losing, time penalty, it became a lot, and I needed to let that emotion go. I just felt it slip through my fingers. I felt the wind like slipping through my fingers. And I just had to let the emotion out, man. It was disappointing, but I told myself day 2, I'm going to put my best foot forward and try to make it happen.
Well, you had a great day too. I mean, you finished in second place. Was that at least gratifying to drive by Johnny on your ATV?
100%. That was my favorite moment of the final, is to pass Johnny on the ATV. And let me tell you, those rocks were heavy. The hike was uphill. Literally, we were like just hiking uphill. And to pass him on that ATV felt amazing. And yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was about one of those deflating experiences of my life. So, I mean, I knew I was already, in trouble when the scale didn't tip in my favor. The only shot I had is I'm like, I just pray that nobody else gets this right. I'm like, all right, if it was this hard for me, I mean, Cory can't spell vengeance, so I'm like, there's no way he's going to be able to figure out what 225. There's no way this guy's going to be able to figure out how much 225 pounds of rocks weighs. And lo and behold, he did. I mean, Chanel did. I think me and Michaela were the only 2 that didn't. Or did Michaela? Maybe even Michaela figured it out.
No, it was just you and Michaela. No, because I passed her on the ATV like, peace. I said, deuces, Michaela.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, that was it was pretty deflating. But that's just the way it goes, man. You win some, you lose some. And again, sometimes fate and luck falls on your side, and other times it doesn't. And that's sometimes what makes the difference between winning and losing.
Well, speaking of fate and luck, what did you guys think about the Hopper this season? Because I mean, maybe it wasn't as fun for you to not have any total control, but as a fan, it was sort of fun to see people not be safe really ever. So what did you two think about that twist?
Loved it, hated it. All right. Truly love-hate relationship with the Hopper. And here's why. Like you just said, even if for example, the final elimination that I, for all intents and purposes, should have gone into, all right, the hall brawl, because I had the most balls. Any other challenge, you have the most votes, you're going in. So the Hopper in that regard ended up saving me. So it worked in my favor, right? There was other times. I mean, the first time we were down there, I had the most balls and I was saved from it. However, the worst part is also what you just mentioned is you never felt safe unless your name's Cory, or Fessy, because all it takes is one ball. And usually on a challenge, there's guy day, girl day, right? So it's like, all right, if you make it through the guy's day, you literally have a week to just chill before you have to worry again. The Hopper made it out as every day could be a guy day or a girl day, and any day could be your day. So you lived with this heightened state of anxiety for 6 straight weeks because you never knew when it could be your time. It was all, your fate was 100%, going to be determined by TJ's balls.
Yeah. And Cory, you're the only person that actually never went into the arena. So how did you manage that?
We call that a hole-in-one, baby. Political game. Honestly, I had lots of conversation. I've had my hand in a little bit of everything, honestly. Like, Big Brother would be talking, I'm going right into that conversation. Like, hi, what are you guys doing? Like, I just made sure to try to be involved in everything. Like, everyone will go in their rooms and have little conversations. Well, here I come, sneaking my butt in that room, sitting down. Like, I wanted to step up my politic game, and I think it showed by me not going down into an elimination, especially when they were coming for MTV vets from the get-go. Like, I maneuvered that flawlessly, I should say.
Yeah, Johnny, I want to talk a little bit about that last vote. I think I'm still recovering from Josh's trauma. So let's talk about that a little bit. He's an emotional player. That week was on a whole other level. How pissed off at him were you for voting you in? And is that something you get over? Like, or is that something that will live with you for challenges to come, or people watching him that could potentially align with him in the future?
So there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, in the moment, obviously I was pissed at him mainly because he basically went against. It wasn't like we had some casual handshake agreement where it's like, hey man, I'm not going to vote for you. You're not going to vote for me. This was from the beginning of the season all the way until the end. Okay. We had an understanding that my name's never coming out of your mouth. Your name's never coming out of my mouth. This guy literally swore on his dead grandparents.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it was that deep. And he swore right up until before we went into voting. However, to know why Josh did it, you have to understand who Josh is. And Josh is a very kind of easily swayed, like he's swayed easily by emotion. Okay.
But honey, this is my one take on that. Would you rather piss off one person or two people?
Well, it was the final elimination. It was the final elimination.
He would have pissed me and Fessy off. If he voted you, he would have pissed you off. So I think that's where
I understand that, but again, you know how it works, dude. It's like what you do on the challenge sometimes will always has a carryover effect into the outside world and onto future seasons. So I think by Josh doing this, what he showed is that after he did it to Wes, he did it to me. It's showing that his word is not worth anything. But B, it's like, dude, if you're willing to throw me in after you swore on what you did, it's like you're gonna have a really tough time convincing anyone that you're gonna be loyal to them in the future. But again, I think that Fessy was also, he had some blood on his hands as well. Again, him and Josh are very tight. Josh looks up to Fessy as a brother, and I think by Fessy basically putting their friendship on the line over this vote, it made Josh make a decision that he otherwise may not have made. But at the end of the day, I mean, where we were at this point in the game, there's no easy way out. You know, you're gonna screw somebody over. Someone is gonna leave pissed off, and I think Josh, when he factored in all the elements, like Cory just said, it's like I want to deal with less repercussions from this vote. So it's like I'd rather just piss off one person than potentially two.
And as veterans in this game, what was it like to see sort of this evolution? I mean, you see, you ride up on these jet skis, you see all these new strangers from Big Brother, Survivor, The Amazing Race. What do you think of these new players? Does anyone stand out as someone who you think has a great potential as a future legend of the challenge?
On which franchise are we talking about? CBS or MTV? Because these are two completely different animals.
Well, I'm just saying, would anyone on CBS be able to transfer over to MTV or maintain their status? When I talked to Wes, he said, for instance, that he thinks Michaela has really all the tools in the toolbox that it takes to really become a great challenger. I'm curious to see what you two think about these CBS challengers.
I think Michaela would be great. Girl-wise, like Desi's amazing. Obviously, she won. I mean, even Chris on the guy side, he's a strong competitor, man. He really doesn't have a weakness. And
his social game's kind of weak.
Yeah, no, his social game is pretty trash. I mean, it's so season. I mean, he went into like 7 eliminations. So, but yeah.
You have to respect Chris's path, though, a little bit.
I mean, no. Here's the thing. I respect the
most
way
impressive challenge win I've been a part of. I have to say.
What his path towards the end, what he had, the amount of times he had to get himself out of predicaments was super impressive. However, let's not forget, Chris was there because of his messy gameplay. Had he played a cleaner game and had he not played a Survivor game and he not done what got himself into trouble his original season of Survivor, which is basically making deals with and lying to everyone in the house, he wouldn't have been in that position. He was actually sitting very pretty early on. And if it weren't for his, again, kind of like messy gameplay, he would not have had to take the path that he had to in the end. But nonetheless, it doesn't take away from the fact that it was like that guy was in an absolute unwinnable position and ended up winning out, which is incredibly impressive. I think Chris would be great on the challenge. He's on MTV, battle tested. The guy has literally withstood, some of the most adversity I've ever seen anyone face on the challenge. I think Cassidy would be great on the show, only because she doesn't just bring that the physicality when it goes to eliminations, but she has that fire. And that's the one thing that I thought was lacking from a lot of the CBS cast members is I've seen millions of great competitors come and go on the challenge. Athletic, I mean, they're great at the game, they're great at competing. But to be on the challenge, to be a great competitor, it takes more than just being physical. It takes more than being athletic. You have to know how to play the game. You have to be a personality. You have to be okay with going against the grain. You've got to just, be okay with creating friction. And that's one of the key elements that I thought was missing from a lot of the CBS cast members is they just didn't have that it factor, right? That reality television, just kind of like thing that you need in order to really, have to be around for a long time on the challenge, because that's what people want to see. People want to see controversy and they want to see grittiness and they want to see friction. And that's what they need to be a little more okay to bring. I don't blame them. They're coming from, Survivor and Big Brother, where the game is to like shut your mouth and hide in the corners and hide in the shadows and not say anything. So yes, the challenge is different, but it would be nice to see, a little more of that.
And it was different for you to sort of go into that setting as strangers again. I mean, you two are used to going into the challenge, having a lot of relationships prior. When you look at the MTV challenge, I mean, people always talk about like picking on the rookies. I think some people forget, but Johnny, you went home your first challenge. I mean, It's not like you just walked into 7 championships. So what has that been like for you? I mean, when you submitted that audition tape to Real World Key West, you had no idea this was going to be your life.
No, my career. My dad's still asking me what I'm going to do with my college degree. He's like, could you remind me what me and your mother paid for you to go to college for? I'm like, Dad, I'll figure it out. Listen, I felt like this season, I didn't feel like I was on the challenge. I felt like I was going on naked and afraid because I walked into this season in the literal sense, but also in the sense of like not having anybody, right? So I mean, I literally felt like it was my rookie season all over again. I had everyone voting against me. I had no idea what was going on in the game. I mean, nobody had. I wasn't involved in any of the politics or any of the gameplay that was going on. I just had to just kind of sit there and react to what the rest of the house was doing. So yeah, I get what it feels. I remember what it felt like my early seasons on the challenge to just kind of have to, put your head down, go to work, and just hope for the best. But I mean, I've always felt like walking away from challenges, for me, kind of the tougher road you have to trek to get to the end, the more, beautiful the view is. So I mean, I wouldn't have changed it. I wouldn't have changed anything in hindsight. I'm glad that I had to kind of forge the path that I did early on. It enabled me to fight my way out and really turn the game upside down and really just change the whole dynamic of the season. And I just love being able to make an impact and make my mark on the season. Obviously, I wish it would have ended up a little bit differently. But yeah, going back to Key West, I had no idea that sending an audition tape and going on The Real World 18 years ago was ever going to lead to where it did today. But, reality is stranger than fiction, man.
And Cory, before I go, I just have a few words for you to spell.
Buddy, listen.
Yes.
No, I just want to say, what has this been like to be part of this challenge family for you? Because I mean, you have an athletic background. How much fun has this been? How has it changed your life? And how badly do you want to come back and actually finally win something?
The challenge has changed my life, and I've got to travel the world and live in some of the coolest places and meet all these cool people, and it's given me that adrenaline that I need in my life coming off of sports, and not competing anymore. I was kind of lost there for a while. So to be doing these shows and to be doing the challenge and things like that, it just adds that excitement to my life. And it almost gives me a purpose, as weird as that sounds. Like when I'm in the gym, like I'm thinking like, you got to get ready. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason on why I'm going and stuff. So I'm just thankful for it. I'm happy that I got to join CBS and become a part of that family. And, now I just got to come back on MTV, baby, and return the title. I gotta become a challenge champ. So it's been a blessing, man. Been a blessing.
Well, we're excited. Can't wait to see both of you back on the challenge. Johnny's got his baby now. So thanks for chatting with Gold Derby today, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah,
see you Thursday on Gold Derby.